Welcome to the Blackhouse online series. Today, we're in the house with the Miss Africa New Zealand contestants. My name's Liya, and my background's Tanzanian, New Zealander, and our other host for today is Roseline. And Roseline, you can just do a quick little intro of yourself.
I'm a Kenyan born, and my background is Sudanese, and I'm a year 2 bachelor's student in social work.
First off, I'll start with your organizer because Ernestina Bonsumaru has been getting this stuff organized. I'm watching the insanity from Wellington, and I was just thinking, what a huge undertaking to take on. How are you, Ernestina, and how is the organizing and everything going?
Yeah, first of all, Liya and Roseline, thank you so much for the opportunity to bring our African woman on this platform. You know, the title itself, The Black House, that's a statement for itself. And I think that's literally carried onto this platform of Miss Africa New Zealand. Bringing this platform together it's a huge blessing, but it's also challenges that come with it as well. Every woman that's on the Zoom tonight is here for a purpose, and they're here to represent, the faces of Africa here in Aotearoa, because we don't have a platform for African women to shine. It's a huge blessing, but it's also, you're carrying a lot of work with
Yeah.
you. And I think, just to introduce myself in a nutshell, I am a proud African woman that's blessed to come from two ethnic backgrounds of being Ghanaian and Cook Island. And I carry this through my work, whether it's through pageantry, media, community, whether I'm broadcasting, whether I'm connecting with women or our beautiful, diverse community. And as you mentioned, Liya and Rosaline, it's not easy trying to put women at the forefront, because in our African community, usually men are dominant in that space. So I think it's amazing to have this platform to celebrate Miss Africa New Zealand. And I think it's beautiful to see the different faces. Like, we've got Miss Ghana, Miss Ethiopia, Miss South Africa, and Miss Cameroon, that's on here. And we have never seen that diversity on a platform. We've never seen African women being celebrated all as one. So I just want to thank you, ladies, for even taking the time. It's been a challenge to even get support from our own African community. Majority of the support has been coming from outside of our race. And I think that really speaks volumes on who's supporting our women expectedly. And I'm always honest in front of the girls at our workshops. Our leaders are supposed to be giving like 5,000 each to each girl to support them in their journeys, because that's the investment we want to see for African women 20 years from now. And to be completely honest, our African community are working short term rather than long term. And they're not seeing, for example, if Miss Cameroon wants to have her own business, have we given her the fruits to kind of nurture that? Have we kind of supported her in that avenue? So, yeah, it's a huge blessing having this platform. And I think it's beautiful to know that we have contestants that are putting their hand up to represent who we are. And, Liya and Rosaline, you would know the story. And Liya she knows the story as well. Women are not celebrated enough in our African community. So by having this platform, we want to elevate that, keep the standard up. Our standard right now for African women is, everyone's saying we're celebrating, but we're not. That's the the reality is, we don't have a actual foundation we want Florence, Nazareth, Amy, and Abby to be like, I do have I have a space, I have a group where I can go to that can support me and my resources that I need. Because right now, this is the reason why we have to look for sponsors. This is the reason why we have to. So yeah, I got so much to speak about, but I want to pass this opportunity to our actual women who are part of this platform. But thank you so much, Rosaline and Liya, for paving this way for African women to have a voice, to know that other women outside of this place will know that there's a foundation that's being built and will be here for in the long run.
Awesome. So we're going to start a round of questions, but first of all, I want you guys to just do a quick intro about yourself, and then me and Rosie will start chucking some questions at you. I'll start with Florence.
Hi, so my name is Florence Dormina. I'm representing Ghana for the Miss Africa pageant. I was born and raised here in New Zealand. I'm a first generational Ghanaian in my family, and yeah.
Hi guys, my name is Nazra Irga, and I'm going to be representing Ethiopia for this Miss Africa pageant. And I am 21 years old. I was born in Sudan, and I came here with my family when I was 11.
Hi guys, so I'm Abigail Donji. I'm 29. I'm a mother, and I was born and raised in England, but I've been here now for 15, almost 16 years in June.
Hi, I'm Amy. I am representing Miss South Africa for the Miss Africa New Zealand pageant, and I was born and raised in New Zealand, and I'm 21 years old.
My name is Precious Stevens. I am representing Nigeria for the Miss Africa pageant this year, and I was born in New Zealand and grew up most of the time in Nigeria.
So I actually want to start with Amy, because I found it really interesting that in your profile that I got, you said you wanted to shine a light on the stories of young people of African heritage in Aotearoa. And you believe much of the stories told about African communities in New Zealand is through a Western lens. Can you tell us a little bit about why you think it's important that this situation actually changes and we start telling our own stories?
So basically, I went to Auckland University for 3 years, and I did my Bachelor of Arts in Dance. And quite often, so we did a lot of cultural dancing, and we learned a lot about African culture, but it was told from a European lecturer. And quite often, I had to come and correct the lecturer when it came to facts, and when it came to facts about how dances came to be from tribes. Especially in South African culture, we have a lot of our dances come from specific tribes that have now been formed into more westernized Afrobeats and been used in dance competitions around the world. And so what I think most importantly, especially also because I was the only African woman in my cohort for 3 years, as well as in the whole dance department in my faculty. So I find it very important that we start branching out and telling our stories from our perspectives rather than more of a westernized point of view. Also, it's important for future generations, I feel, to know that they're not alone, and that there are people that have walked through tertiary education and things where they've been the only Black person or brown person or person of color in the room. And so there are other people that have walked through that, and to relate to those experiences and take them on as they go through their journeys.
Do you think it would have made your experience at university different if you had known about previous histories of Black people walking in your space at Auckland Uni?
Definitely, 100%. There was one lecturer who, he's a drummer also in New Zealand. His name is Alf Daniels Mabingo, and he is from Uganda, and he is the only, basically the only Black person in the whole faculty that was able to really guide me throughout my whole entire research. I think it would be very beneficial if we had more African voices, as well as people of color in positions of power in university, especially in the faculty, because he was the only one. And so, yeah, it was quite difficult coming through university, and trying, definitely what I like to do within my art is take my culture and take my journey and express that through dance and through storytelling. And I really had to try and like do my research and really put my journey out there for other people to see. So yeah, it'd be really beneficial to see other people with the same experiences and know more stories.
So I want to know how you females feel as a Black woman in New Zealand. Do you feel like you can fit with other African people or like different groups? Because I look at it as like, yeah, as a white person can look at us like, yeah, you're all Black, but I feel like, do you guys feel as you can walk to another person from your different country and be like, hey, or do you feel like you cannot fit in, if it makes sense?
For me personally, no. I didn't feel like I could approach other Black communities. In fact, like just before, probably last year, was like my first time really even interacting with like other Black people. Just because I don't know, I don't really have an answer why, but everything does feel quite separate and there's not that unity, I don't feel like.
All African people here, like they have their own communities based on where they came from. Like the South Africans, they have their little different communities, and Ethiopians, they have a large community, but I don't think there's a place for all of us to come together as one. And that's why I feel like sometimes it's hard to like fit in with the other countries from Africa.
So would you say that if there was a place that we could all come together as one, would that be more beneficial for African people in New Zealand moving forward?
Yeah, I feel like definitely, because all of us are different, so we could bring a lot of resources and contributions, and we can all grow together and help each other. I feel like that would work better if we had an organization or a facility where like all African people could come together and make a great change.
All right, I want to ask Precious, what steps did you take to prepare yourself for this pageant?
A lot of it was stepping out of my comfort zone because this is not something I usually do. Like, I usually just stay on my own at home. So I think it was really like taking that step just to put myself out there. Like, a lot of people still ask why I do this. So yeah, and I think just making sure that I have everything I need and actually making effort to ask people that I need help from, like for the stuff I'll need for the night. So
I guess it's mainly just trying to make time specifically to sit down and try and like, you know, almost tick off the things I need. Asking lots of questions just to, you know, make sure there's like that no miscommunication, and just trying to just trying to stay on top of everything really, because there's a lot to prepare for mentally as well. And
Like, what do you mean by that? What are you mentally preparing?
Oh, you know, being in front of hundreds of people. Yeah, just kind of just making sure that I just want to make I can represent myself, represent my people in a good light. And so I think that just comes down to making sure you're prepared as best as you can. And I think I'm more confident when I'm, you know, prepared, basically. So I think that's the mental challenge for me, just making sure I'm not stepping on stage and just like, woo.
Do you have any plans to engage with any African organization around New Zealand?
Yeah, so as opportunities to, you know, engage with those come up, yeah, I would be interested in, you know, giving my input and kind of just representing Ghana and like, you know, Africa in general, and just kind of just being present.
I think the only big organization that we have for Africans is the African Welfare Service, and I would, if the opportunity comes, I would love to collaborate with them to help the youth with employment and getting into education, and especially because I'm studying criminology currently, and I want to focus more onto the people who've come out of prison, and to just help them like integrate into society better, like by helping them find jobs, building their CVs, because it's very hard for them once they come out of prison to find jobs, just find an education for themselves too. Like a lot of them go back to reoffending or like do illegal stuff to like find money, to get money, because they can't find jobs and stuff.
Yeah.
Definitely, I would love to get involved with more African organizations. We don't have any big ones currently in New Zealand, but in future, I know that it's not really an organization, well, necessarily that I'm planning on making, but something that I really enjoyed doing, especially when my time being a dancer, is doing workshops in communities. Definitely going, and I know that, especially like I've said previously, like Afrobeats is becoming quite big, especially in New Zealand, and especially the dance style. I'd love to do more educational workshops, not only for the youth in Auckland, to give them something to do, especially while they're at school and while they're after school care and all those things. So yeah, definitely providing more education on African culture surrounding dance is something that I would love to do. So yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, I don't really know, just honestly, I don't really know anything right now, but all I know is that from doing this show, I've met a lot of amazing people, and I think it's about networking with the right people. And I think, you know, moving forward, I could figure those out and we can work together and see what happens, basically.
Oh, I've got a question that's not on that list. It's just come up from what you guys have been saying to me. As you may or may not have completed your census this year, I am very curious to get your responses because I did the online one and we are still others.
Yep.
Does anybody have any opinions? I know how I feel after being in this country as long as I have. Now I can say it here, 1966, long time. I have my own opinions about still having to tick the other box and fill it in. I would like to know what your opinions would be on that whole situation there, and also what do you think needs to change to make it better?
I feel like it's hurting. It's very hurtful
Mm.
to be considered not a part of a Kiwi person in New Zealand. We're looked at somebody who just came into the country and was just like, oh, they're just a small group, but we've been there for so long. Why can't we be recognized? Why can't we be accepted to be as a Kiwi New Zealander here? But why does it? It's like, oh, you're African, so you're just in that corner. But we're a big group. We're this. It's mad. I'm mad that we're considered other because we should be known and we've been known for long. You can't represent Afrobeats, you can't represent all that, but still consider us other. You can't be taking everything from us, but you don't want to recognize there's a group of us in New Zealand. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah, I feel like same. Every time like I feel like fill up any like important forms like or just any forms, it's always when they say oh yes ethnicity or whatever, it's at the bottom. I scroll down, there's nothing that says African or anything, and then there's just other. Every time I actually see that, it used to just annoy me. I'm like, why are they not acknowledging our existence? We've been living here for years and they still don't they don't care.
And when even nowadays, when I even mention that to young people, some of them don't even know we've been here as long as we have.
Yeah, just based off what the others said, like we contribute to the New Zealand economy, so just to be kind of put as others, like as I guess not significant, it is painful. And
does it make you feel invisible?
Oh yeah, 100%, definitely. Yeah, which it's not a nice feeling for anyone.
Yeah, I think it's something that needs to be talked about more. Like, I feel like people care about like our music, like Afrobeats, everyone loves it. All our cultural stuff, like everyone's always getting the braids done and all that. They talk about that stuff, but when it comes to like our people, they don't really want to know us or like be around us, but they want to, they love our food, culture, music and all that, but it's just something I think should be talked about more.
I agree with the ladies as well, obviously. And I think it's just obviously about, giving people a choice, why can't we just say that we're, Kiwi or just be more included and things like that. Actually, somebody asked me that question the other day, something similar, but that's a bit of a tangent, but so I won't go into that. But basically, I agree with you guys. Yeah.
Story about that actually. While I was at university, we did an exercise where we were talking about just social groupings, and the lecturer actually, she said to get into our groups of ethnicities, and she said other for one of the categories. So I said, oh, how about like where's African, where is that? where's the category? And then she just said, oh, no, I've just written on here, we're doing other. So all of the rest of the class that was other had to stand in a group instead of being in our like ethnic groupings. So that was a little bit disappointing considering that it was a tertiary level education class. And things still hadn't changed. Like even from the time of primary school when we had to do like math tests, there would be other as an ethnicity instead of like the whole list being there. And yeah, so that it's a little bit disappointing, and I do feel a little bit invisible, especially going to such a platform such as like tertiary, or even going through education where you want to you go there to build on your knowledge and build on your education and make a career pathway for yourself. You feel invisible kind of the whole entire way. So yeah, definitely agree with all the ladies and what they've said as well.
What inspired you to compete in the Miss Africa New Zealand pageant?
So what inspired me? I guess just to be a face for specifically my country, Ghana. There's a lot of, I guess in my community, there's a lot of young Ghanaians, female Ghanaians, that I kind of want to be that role model. I want to be a role model for them. They can kind of, like see my face and kind of feel inspired to, do what they want to do. And yeah, so just kind of being a role model. So that's kind of inspired me to be in this pageant. What
inspired me to join is I wanted to obviously represent my country, Ethiopia, and also to mainly let young African women know that they can do whatever they want if they put their mind to it.
For me, it was, similar reasons to the girls there. But on top of that, for myself and my son, to try different things, put yourself out there, even if you're scared. And because it's all like growth opportunity, basically. And then it all comes down to diversity and just, showing other girls, Africa girls out there, that you don't have to be perfect to take part in, things like beauty pageant or fashion shows. Like you can do it if you want to. And I think by having us girls here doing it, showing by example, then that's a good start.
Yeah, for me, similar reasons to the girls. I want to be a voice for not only young African girls in Aotearoa, but also African youth. And just to be like a way paver and to show them that you can do anything that you put your mind to, really. And it doesn't matter what you look like or where you come from. You can always, anything is possible with like hard work and determination. So, yeah.
Represent my country and also to try something new and to just show all the young girls out there that you don't have to be like a certain size or be from a certain place to be able to like be in pageants. Like you can do it if you want to do it and put your mind to it. It doesn't matter what you look like or where you're from. So yeah.
In your brief that you sent me, Ernestina, you mentioned that the Miss Africa New Zealand competition steers away from the norms present in society by highlighting the intelligent capability and determination of the young women and men. I'm not going to ask about the men because they're obviously not in this year's competition. But first of all, do you want to go further into explaining about how you're steering away from the norms? And secondly, are you going to have a Mr. Africa New Zealand competition?
Yeah, love that question, Liya. Thank you so much. I think in regards to breaking away from our norm, it's starting with these girls. It's starting with this journey of seeing the reality of our leadership within our African communities and actually saying it with confidence that within our African community, our leadership is not, stable, because the way I see it, there's not really a structure for our community or our girls to go to and say, so they've all answered it. They've all given the answer within their own frames. Like they don't have a space where they feel like this is our African center. This is like, I give an example to the Pacific because they have a structure where they've got one community center. They've got, a structured leadership where, and I get it. We have different cultures, we have different avenues of religion, but at the same time, our structure is not at the best right now. And I think with these girls, I know with these girls, with confidence, they will bring in that new, wave that we need within our community, because right now we've been having the same leaders within the same groups running things for the same 10 plus years. And if you even look now within Auckland, and I always say this to the girls, name me one leader that has come to, they've seen 5 million posters of Miss Africa New Zealand. No one, leader besides the girl, the community groups that have come up to us to say, wow, this is amazing. I'd like to give you some resources to support the future of our African voices. So we're having to email, send letters, go out to community like events. It's like you always have to like be at someone's feet to get attention, or you have to, you know, send emails and send like these. Our community needs to stop doing the, oh, I'm going to wait for them to send me details before before I can actually support. No, I'm going to wait for these contestants to come to my show before I can show some actual, attention to what they're doing. It's like they have to work 3 times harder to get attention for bringing, a better standard of African, community and culture and representation to the community. So I feel
It's
like,
in New Zealand, yeah.
yeah, it's
Yeah,
only like in
definitely.
New Zealand. It's
Mm.
we want the girls, and even for myself, like I had to learn through that, coming through this whole experience. And I'm trying to, break this boundary so that the woman in here, and even for the next wave of women, they know how to like go after what they want and actually
Mm.
be confident with it. Today you're going to pay all our flights to come to Africa Day, because
Mm.
they are the faces of African women. Why are we pay? Why are we in? This is another thing. Why are we getting leaders that haven't changed a thing within societal norms within the African community? Why are we bringing the same leaders to Africa Day, doing the same speech at the top? For once, I don't know, put Precious up there to talk about how she's having trouble getting support and stuff as an African woman. Now that's a real story. Abby having a disconnection to her Cameroon community or African, that's a real story. Enough
Mm.
of getting people that already know how to play the game of trying to get all these resources. So,
Mm.
in a simple answer, Leah, what I'm trying to say in the most respectful way is this is the wave of new change. And I have, I've been getting a lot of no's and a lot of rejection lately, trying to get resources to support the girls. You've seen my messages, Leah. You've heard what I've said and stuff. But the longevity, I think people who watch this interview tonight and hear the stories of each of these girls, they will realize to take them seriously and actually listen to what they want to do or want to bring or want to take on. Some of the
Mm.
talent that you will see on the
Even
night
if
from
it,
Miss
mm.
Africa New Zealand is going to be different. And that's why I'm excited, because it's going to be like, whoa, I didn't know African girls can do that. Or I didn't know they can, because it's a new wave of Africans that have come into New Zealand. So breaking that norm is actually accepting what the norm is in New Zealand right now. And that's just my view. You ladies as well may have a different view, but I just feel like the leadership and the structure right now, that's the reason why we don't have resources, is because the leadership and the structure is like, who do these girls go to get sponsorship, to get
Yeah.
support? It's because of our own connections they get. They probably got friends that have connections. So yeah, there's a lot of work to do, but I think these girls have done a lot. And they haven't, I think that's another thing, ladies, is like you don't know what you have been doing, but you have been, breaking some doors down and waking people up against to what you're doing. So that's why I said after this pageant, things are going to change so much. I mean, you're going to deserve and get the respect that you need. And you have women like Liya and Roseline that we need to connect with to bring this voice up. But yeah, I'm just going to leave it at that, because I know this won't be the last time we'll be having a corded or having a chat. And you girls just rock.
I just want to say, what everything that you guys have been saying tonight is so important. Everything that you've said. I also think, now this is just my own thoughts on the matter, is that the way forward is for young people to speak up and speak out and tell the truth. So I just have to take my hats off to you girls for actually speaking out about that stuff.
I was thinking about, like, once you guys have finished your pageant and whoever's the winner, do you think you want to continue still creating a platform? And also, you may have inspired young youth who would want to be a pageant. Would you guys still in a group to help the young ones to grow and become little Miss Pageants?
Little Miss Pageants?
Yes.
Definitely. I feel like, whoever the winner is going to be, or, just all of us, I feel like we kind of have that, in a way, obligation to kind of continue the, I guess, the movement and kind of inspire the younger ones, like, regardless of who the winner is. Like, I think it's our job to kind of, uplift the younger ones and kind of, in a way, start the path and then lead the way to help them, be in a pageant if they want to and stuff like that.
Like Florence said, I feel like we have the responsibility to support other young people also, and to just build on to be like leaders. Even myself, being a leader is like, it's not easy, but it's just something that you have to do to make it. And I feel like if you are in that leadership position, or if you have like some kind of authority or like experience that you've had, and it'll be a great opportunity to teach the younger people how to do it, since you've already had the experience for it.
Yeah, I definitely think that is, something we will definitely be doing. And I really like the idea of just being the support person there for, I want to say younger people, but just anyone in general, pursuing their passions, let them know that, feel the fear and push past it anyways. And I kind of like that.
Yep, I totally agree with what the ladies have said. I think it'll be awesome to, like how we have workshops with Tina, it would be awesome to have workshops for younger African girls who just want to pursue any path, whether that be singing or dancing or anything with the arts, or anything even that isn't a part of the arts. Just helping them connect to their culture and giving them that leeway. I think that'd be really cool. And that's something definitely that would be awesome to do outside of the pageant once this is finished. And because also one more thing, we don't have enough African women like leaders, and especially like this is such an amazing platform that we've been given. So using that to our advantage to really, put ourselves out there like we already have, to continue to inspire the young girls of New Zealand. So
I think it would be really good to encourage the younger ones, especially because they are the next generation, and we need more people to, help, put the Black people out there. Like, I think, they're the next generation that we need to help them and encourage them to, represent their culture and not listen to what other people have to say about them, and just push them to show who they are and not be shy about that. Yeah.
All right. So the last question I want to ask is, what social issue or cause would you discuss if you got to meet New Zealand leaders during your Miss Africa New Zealand reign? And where do you see your career in 10 years?
I would say diversity within the leadership, because I feel like most of the leaders within, just in general in the world, are mostly men, and I feel like we need more women in leadership. And then I feel like I would be able to talk to them and see what we can do to support more women leadership. In 10 years, I'm going to be finishing my study in criminology this year, so I'm hoping to continue within the probation area of criminology, just working in the courts and that, and then on that side I can also try to, build an organization or just a support system for empowering women and people and marginalized people, to have a voice.
As a criminologist, are you planning on being a lawyer? Because we need more of those.
No, I'm gonna stick to the probation area and just helping them when they come out of prison to integrate into society better?
For me, it's got to be gender equality. Obviously in theme with the pageant, but as well. But I'm back to kind of what I've been saying this whole time. I'm passionate about people just being themselves and going after what they want. And if even that's what being a woman, there shouldn't be those any boundaries or restrictions in the way to stop people from pursuing those passions. So I think there just needs more conversations around that. It's different times, we're in 2023, for goodness sake, like let's get it done. Because like my background, my study was graphic design, but I have sadly decided I'm not really that interested in it. So I guess like as part of back to what I was saying, I want the world to be my oyster. I don't want to think, oh, can I go into that, or is it going to be worth my while? I just want to be able to have them options to choose what I want to do. And so yeah, I guess it kind of goes hand in hand.
So for me, something that is very important for me, which is currently an issue, especially in Auckland, is budget cuts.
Right.
Definitely, especially within the arts, after that proposal has been made, a lot of, especially people, tertiary creatives, as well as creatives in high schools, have been a little bit shaken up by it, considering that we don't already get enough funding as it is. So if I had the opportunity to speak to any New Zealand leaders, that would definitely be something that I would have a discussion about for my career in 10 years' time. So I plan on doing my teaching diploma next year. So I eventually want to work my way through high school to become a tertiary lecturer in dance studies in my faculty. That's definitely where my heart is set. And definitely also, I want to create my own dance organization so I can work my way through schools and to teach dance to those in marginalized communities in Auckland, and if not in Auckland, then around New Zealand. So, yeah.
I think mine would be definitely having more African groups, especially in schools, because the whole time I was in high school, none of my schools had African groups. Like even for Polyfest, I joined other groups because there was no African groups. So there wasn't much African kids at all my schools, but the ones that were there weren't able to, perform like they would love to, because they don't really recognize African groups at school. So I think that's something I would like to help work on. And where I'd be in 10 years. I'm not sure right now because I just started uni. So
for me, I think one thing I'd address is unemployment within the African community. A lot of the time, I've heard things like we being classed as like, lazy, don't want to work. But then again, sometimes it ties into not having that education. So I think having support for, for African women or just Africans in general to, go through education and have that support system, scholarships, grants, stuff like that to kind of,
even affirmative action.
Yeah. So I would definitely address that. In 10 years, so I currently work in corporate, so I'd like to be like a senior in corporate and kind of get my CA, which is chartered accountancy, and kind of just be, there's not a lot of, to be honest, in my firm, there's no African seniors at all. So I'd like to be, a face for Africans. So yeah, in a higher up position. So yeah, that's where I'd like to see myself in 10 years.
I think we'll round it off with you, Ernestina, telling us about where is the crowning night and also about the giveaway.
Yes, everyone. So coming up on the 1st of April, this is happening at Everybody's. It's located in the heart of Auckland City. It's a beautiful location. There's a space for when you enter. There's a general admission. There's a VIP section, but there's also an area for performances as well. Alongside with that, you get to see our beautiful contestants take the stage and also share what Africa is all about. We are, just like our theme, the colors of Africa. You're going to see the intelligence, you're going to see the beauty, you're going to see the culture, you're going to see the garments, you're going to see everything. We come with no filter. And with that, we'd like to also share two tickets, but they're going to be giveaways to anyone that's outside in the Wellington region. I know you're in Wellington, but I wish we could fly you over. But it's just for in representation to this beautiful platform of the Blackhouse. We would just want to thank Roseline and Liya for the opportunity for us women to come and share our story. But 2 tickets for you and your friend to come along can be 2 powerful women from the area of Wellington just to come and, take a look at this space and see what we can, share more out in the community, even in outside of Aotearoa as well, to represent obviously our pageant Miss Africa New Zealand 2023. And yes, as mentioned, there will be another pageant next year. We will be introducing more of our African women just to come on and spread. We hope to see you all come there and enjoy Miss Africa New Zealand 2023.
And what about Mr. Africa New Zealand? We all want to hear about that because, as you know, there's a shortage of African men in New Zealand. I don't know if anybody else has noticed, but I've noticed. Are we going to have a Mr. Africa New Zealand competition at any point?
100%. And I think, when people ask around that area, it's because it comes back to our structure. Like, just like the girls who will be supporting our males for Mr. Africa New Zealand. And that's when our male leaders will come in to support that initiative. With me, I work with girls. I know I know what we want. I know how our voice is heard, but the same structure for our guys within our African community. We need some of our people to come into our community to actually give a platform for our people to see. And that's the thing, these girls have opened up the pageant. They've opened up the space. They've been doing the mahi that they've been doing. They've actually been voicing out their stories. And that's what has made Miss Africa New Zealand. And now we're seeing 80% of the tickets that have been sold already because of the content, the radios, the PR they've been doing out and about, connecting with their families. So we need to put that same energy into our male pageants. And I'll rather be honest with you, Liya, because you always tell us straight, and we have to tell you straight as well. It comes back down to our organization with our structure as well. So I can't give you a beautiful answer because right now I feel like our girls have got a really powerful structure, but we really need to work on the representation of our males because it's not quite there. If no one is supporting this, we've had to hustle to get people to support this initiative. So now we got to get the energy of our African representatives of our males to actually bring their stories. What is it like being, an African male in this society? They need to come with their stories. And I think another thing, Liya, I have to say, we got to stop looking at African events as shows, a one-hit wonder event. It's not like an annual representation of class, integrity, beauty, intelligence, all in kind of one pit. So hearing these stories, and I'm going to tell you now, it's so beautiful to see how the girls want to, do things in 10 years' time or, are still finding their space. We haven't heard those stories. So we really need to bring out that element of our community. So, yeah, I could go on, Liya and Roseline. But as mentioned, please do come and support the face of our African woman for Miss Africa New Zealand 2023. Yes, so we have our Instagram page and also our Facebook page, which is ongoing. We're consistent with our messages alongside the girls' pictures and content as well. So you can definitely get in contact with us via Facebook or Instagram. So that's our kind of main platforms to communicate. And if you're looking for tickets, good news as well. We do have a 10% off, 10% discount. So our tickets are $44 online, and if you get a 10%, that's $38. I'll double check that, but it is around that price for the 10%, and with our VIPs as well. VIPs is actually all gone, our VIP section, so we're just now on general admission, which is left.
All right. Thank you so much, Asante Sana, to everybody who's come along today and spoke to us. I think that I never thought I'd be a fan of beauty pageants because I kind of grew up in the 60s and 70s when the women were going, no, we don't want to do any of that. So I'm thinking like this new change that you're bringing about, when it's not just about beauty and looks and culture, but it's also about socio-political issues as well. And so asante, asante, asante to all of you for coming along. And I wish you all the best watching the Blackhouse online. Have a great week.